Steel and Flame, Book 1 of the Guilds of Avlaan series is available on Amazon. If you like fluffy wolf-lolly protagonists and Japanese light novels, follow the link below to check it out.
Hello, Leonardo Cornejo here with another video, and today I want to talk about something that I think needs to be addressed. It's about intellectual property, very specifically copyright, because it's more complicated if you add the others, but the one I know the best is copyright, and first of all I will say not all intellectual property is the same. I don't think all intellectual property laws need a reform. They are too abusive. Currently they benefit large corporations and harm small individuals, and that shouldn't be. It should be the other way. I think patent laws and trademark laws are a complete disaster. I don't think they need to be abolished, but they need to be reformed. If you can't reform them, then abolish them, but they need to be reformed. They need to be changed drastically. Maybe trademark laws should be abolished entirely, and patent laws need a drastic reform, and copyright laws, which are the ones I know the best, they need a reform too. Not as drastic, but they really need a reform. And that's where this video begins, because I'm going to talk about the idea that I have seen many other libertarians exposing of abolishing intellectual property entirely. And I have seen some of the arguments of the most educated ones on the matter, and they don't convince me. That's where I will start. They don't convince me. And if they don't convince me, there is a good chance they won't convince people who are a lot less libertarian and other creators, also libertarian or a lot less libertarian than I am. I'm not convinced. The vast majority of the people won't be convinced, and that's the core of this video, because someone got really stupid and really rude in defending this, and I decided to make this video. First of all, I started off acknowledging that we really need to reform copyright laws, trademark laws, patent laws, because I do think we need reforms. For example, I think corporations shouldn't own intellectual property for centuries. I think it should be illegal to own that for that long an intellectual property. And I think patent laws are extremely abusive, and trademark laws are a complete disaster. If there is one that should be abolished, it will be trademark laws. I can argue that maybe trademark laws, maybe they should be abolished, and I'm saying maybe. I can imagine arguments against abolishing them. Now the thing is, I will focus more on copyright, because that's the one I know, the one that affects me. I will explain why I think this idea is terrible, and why I do have counter arguments against it. First of all, I watched a couple of videos of people arguing against the existence of copyright laws. They say intellectual property in general, but often treat intellectual and copyright interchangeably, many. And some explain why basically patent laws, and in more detail copyright laws, patent laws, and the three and trademark laws have caused harm. Yes, they can. They certainly can. The current model, as I said, needs a reform. But specifically regarding copyright laws, here is where I see everyone is wrong in this when they talk about abolishing copyright laws. They say the rationale is that you don't own ideas, that you are a fascist, and that's where I basically discard the opinion of all these people, that you are a fascist if you claim you own ideas and want to use authority to claim ownership over ideas, that it is authoritarian to claim ownership over ideas, and that copyright laws are inherently authoritarian. I don't know. I don't think I own ideas. That's something I made very clear regarding the video about open and closed species, and I have been very vocal about encouraging people to use most, if not all, of the species I have come up with, or I have basically created a new rendition of pre-existing mythological creatures like the kobolds. I have been very vocal about encouraging people to make them. And even on social media I have explained with visual examples how they should look to make them identical to mine. I even plan to release some projects which describe them in detail so that you have an idea, basically to encourage more people to make kobolds similar to the ones I write, to copy the ideas I came up with, because I don't claim ownership of ideas. I claim ownership of the end product of those ideas, and I can put a price tag on the end product, which is the books I write, the stories I write. And they say, but you don't own words. It's not words, it's the end product. Words and ideas are just the ingredient, it's the end product. And that's the first part of my counter argument, because you don't convince me with calling me a fascist, with calling me authoritarian, for saying the end product of the ideas I came up with, and the words I combined with it, and the visual elements that I combined them with, are mine. That the combination of my ideas, of all the things that manifest from those ideas, that the end result of combining everything is mine. I think calling me authoritarian for saying that, calling me a fascist for saying that, makes you a fucking idiot. I think that's basically a utopian perspective. And it's sad to see even people I respect and admire having this perspective. Is basically the only thing I disagree with most of these people. But I think it's not convincing of an argument to call me a fascist, to call me authoritarian, to encourage my support of what I think it's a terrible counterproductive idea which fucks me over. There is this argument that if you argue it's because you put effort in them, you are applying the Marxist theory of how is it, the labor theory of value, the Marxist labor theory of value. I disagree, because it's not that effort adds value, but that you can choose to put a price to your effort, and value is determined by what the customer is willing to pay for your effort. If someone is willing to pay you $1 for, I don't know, dancing on the street, the value of your it is not your effort which generates value, but the decision of that person to determine that that person who is paying you $1 for dancing in the street for, I don't know, 30 minutes, is that person willingness to give you that dollar for that effort that gives value to that effort. It's not that the effort adds value, but that that effort it doesn't give value, it has value according to the customers. If I decided to sell my books in $100 each copy, you will tell me to go fuck myself. And justifiably so, because $100 is quite a lot. Especially here in Mexico. It's 2,000 Mexican pesos. It's also the reason why I struggle to get money for illustrations, and I choose to use AI in many cases. Because if you are not certain that you are going to make a cent from a project, and you are not going to spend 2,000 Mexican pesos on it, $100, or even worse, 4,000 Mexican pesos, $200. Art isn't cheap. Illustrations aren't cheap. They cost time and money. Again, it's not that I claim my effort adds value to my books. It's that I am putting a value and you decide if it is justified or not, and if you don't think it's fair, you won't buy it. But that I am not going to go unrewarded in my effort. That's the thing. Labor doesn't add value. Labor is something you are willing to charge you, however. To charge others, however. And that's the part where Marx is wrong. But you can't argue that you can't charge for your effort. You can charge for your effort. If people think it's worthless, they won't pay you. They won't hire you. They won't employ you. They won't buy your product. If they think your effort is worth it, for example, let's say a chef with a lot of experience and technique charges you, I don't know, $50 for a steak. And an idiot with no technique, no talent, no nothing charges you $50 for a terribly made processed ham sandwich, which tastes awful. You're not going to pay $50 for that horrible sandwich, but you are going to pay $50 for that premium steak made by a professional chef. Because it's not the effort alone that matters. It's the result combined with the effort and the quality and the willingness to pay. If you don't like it, the effort is worthless. If you don't want it, the effort is worthless. If you are not going to, if you don't think it's worth the price to pay, the effort is not worth that price. Effort does not create value, but you can put value to it. You can put a price to it. It's the difference. You can put a price to effort, but effort doesn't mean value, doesn't guarantee value. The results matter, and in this case, the results are my book. And I am not charging for the ideas, I'm charging for the results. And that's where I think I should be the only one who has the right to charge for those results, because I made those results, not others. And I am also the only one allowed to lend that right to charge for the results to someone else. The ideas, as I said, I am not going to charge you for using a character that resembles mine. And if you don't use a character that is mine, for example Ruwa, if you use her, if you use Ruwa but you are not charging, I won't be upset. If you are paywalling my characters, if you are paywalling my intellectual property, it will bother me a lot. I will try to stop you. I will ask you to stop. But if you are doing it for free, for example, I don't know, you write a fanfic and you put it on Pixiv for free, I don't mind. I don't mind. Why? Because I'm more inclined to, you know, the whole thing of Creative Commons and all that. You credit the creator, you use the intellectual property of someone else but crediting that person. Of course, I think in the current environment I can't legally take the risk of being more flexible with my intellectual property. I try to be as flexible as I can in this environment, but the thing is, this environment doesn't really favor you if you are very flexible. But the thing is, I'm not trying to prevent the existence of fanfics, fan art. I like that stuff. I like fan projects. I'm supportive of them. I'm not even getting angry at people who download piracy for free. But if you are selling my work without my authorization, it really bothers me. It really bothers me a lot. It's also one of the reasons why I don't translate my books to Spanish, because let's say I found out that Amazon has some shady deals with some local distributors here, and basically they are, Amazon authorizes them, because I authorize them indirectly, to distribute my books at a higher price than the actual price. And I don't get a fucking cent from that. It's all the distributor who gets the money. That discourages me to sell in Mexico a lot, because it's happening in Mexico, in my own country. I can't make as much money as I wanted because of the whole copyright issue, basically because Amazon authorizes these fuckers to sell my book and put the price they consider fair without my permission, but because I authorized Amazon to basically because I am selling on Amazon, they have the right to authorize someone else to sell my books at the price they want. I don't see a single cent from that. The physical copies. If you are buying from Mexico, buy digital. Buy digital. If you want to buy the physical copy, go to the American page and buy it there. Buy it in the American page, because it will be cheaper. It will be cheaper because of these shady dealings with this distributor who charges a lot more. Charges kind of like twice as much for each book. Of that money, neither Amazon or I see the difference. It's them. It's them who basically get all that money. I can't stop that, but it bothers me. It bothers me when people profit from my books. Not from the story, not from the characters as much. Not, as I said, if you make a fanfic, I don't have an issue. It bothers me if you paywall it because it's my work, not yours, which is basically because you didn't create it. But if you just distribute it for free, it doesn't bother me. But it bothers me a lot when you profit from my books, specifically my books, Steel and Flame, Relic and Revenant, Reagent and Toxicant, Journey to Avlaan, The Path Beyond Avlaan, Galena's Menagerie of Delicacies, which is not complete yet. It's releasing on Pixie, but I'm not even charging there. If I find out someone is profiting from them without my permission, that bothers me a lot. That bothers me a lot. And I think it shouldn't be legal. It shouldn't be allowed. Without my permission, in this case it's basically with my indirect permission, which bothers me a lot, but I can do nothing. It creates a situation in which I am incapable of changing it, and it bothers me. Other than telling you, don't buy from that distributor. Buy directly from Amazon. But I don't really have control over that situation. The thing is, it bothers me a lot when someone makes money from my work and I am not making money from it at the same time. Because I really put a lot of time and effort on this. Really put my life in it. It's my life's work. It has a value to me. It has a meaning to me. And that's why it pisses me off when I see these people arguing against intellectual property. The argument they have calling you an authoritarian and a fascist, I don't give a fuck. That's not an argument. You don't convince me. You need to understand this is business. And in business, what's in for me? You need to understand that. If you can't convince me by telling me what's in for me, you're not going to convince me, because they say, oh, but then you are a fascist, but then you're an authoritarian, but then you claim your own ideas. I don't care. I care about making money. I'm an anarcho-capitalist. I am not an utopian. I'm selfish. I'm an open egoist. I care about money. I care about reward. And if you want to get in the way between me and my well-being, I will try to fuck you over. In your anarcho-capitalist utopia, where you can where you can sell my books, my stories, without my permission, I can go and fucking kill you for that. Don't start arguing about ethics. Because that's also what bothers me. They say, but this is not ethical. I don't care. I don't care about your ethics. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care about your morals. I care about what's in for me. Because let me tell you something. I think it's unethical to make a profit from someone else's intellectual property, and I wouldn't dare to do that. I think it's unethical. But you don't find it a convincing argument to change your mind, so don't expect me to change my mind claiming it's unethical to have intellectual property. I don't give a fuck about that. In fact, I basically don't give a fuck about ethics, when ethics mean fucking me over. I'm not. Some even would argue that I am exerting positive rights. No, they are negative rights. It's not. I am entitled to make money with my work. If people don't want to buy it, I am not entitled to make money with my work. It's you are not allowed to make money with my work. You didn't do a shit to make it. You didn't even transform it, not even remotely. I don't have an issue with people training an artificial intelligence. I don't have people with issue with people training an artificial intelligence to write like me. It will just fill you with fluffy-tailed waifus. It will just give you plenty of generic fluffy-tailed waifus. I don't have an issue with people training an AI to write like me, because it's not copy-pasting my work. I'm not talking about copying ideas or words. I'm talking about the end result, the specific books. I don't mind people making a fanfic. I don't mind people training an AI to write like me. Because I am not talking about theft or a stupid concept like that when it comes to copying. I'm talking about taking the end result, the specific end result, and making a profit out of it. An artificial intelligence, fucking shit, I get confused quite easily. Maybe because I'm angry. An artificial intelligence doesn't copy word for word the things you write. It learns to write like you. You really got a bit crazy to want an artificial intelligence to write like me, by the way. But if you're crazy enough, it learns to write like you. It doesn't copy word. It doesn't plagiarize. It learns to imitate you. I don't mind that digital monkey imitating me. That would be funny. What bothers me, as I said, what bothers me is not that. It's not imitation. It's actual plagiarism. It's taking word for word the same thing and selling it for profit. I don't even get angry about pirates. I think I don't like piracy. I don't want more like not that I don't like it. I don't want to encourage it. I want to encourage piracy, and I think piracy should be seen as the last resort, but it shouldn't be for profit. I take issue with piracy for profit. I take issue with someone selling you a CD with a pirate copy of something. But if you download a copy without paying a cent, I don't endorse it fully, but I think it's a last resort. If you really are in a situation where it is a last resort, it's a last resort. For example, with abandonware. Hold on a second. I know this thing overheats, and let me cool down a bit too, because I am overheating too, indirectly. Back to what I was saying. I don't really have an issue with fan works. I don't have an issue with for example, with piracy, because I don't consider them plagiarism. Plagiarism is when you take the piece and you claim credit for it, or you sell it without permission. I don't mind if you don't make a profit. And even in for example, with fan works that you want to profit from. For example, let's say you write basically an entire fanfic, so to speak, of, for example, I don't know, a story with my characters in my setting, everything I published, but it's a story that neither conflicts with the canon nor really imitates everything exactly the way I wrote it. Or let's say you used an AI to write basically an apocryphal novel of my series, which doesn't conflict with the canon. You want to make a profit from it. You make it with an AI. I don't mind training with AI. I'm okay with that. I'm supportive of I started off neutral and became supportive. I used to think it was a fad that would end up forgotten. Well, I became supportive of it, which is not relevant to this video. The thing is, I don't mind if you do that. If you make something new with my ideas and you come to me and say, and I want to make a profit out of it. Depending on the work, it might be as simple as that for me to approve it, for me to say, go ahead, I gave you the permission. If anyone tries to sue you, tell them I directly gave you the permission. Depending on the work, I might approve it that way. It might be as simple as saying, I want to make a profit out of it. I really liked it. I really like your work, and I made this inspired by it, and I want to make a profit out of it. Depending on the context, I might say, do it. Go ahead. It's yours. I have an issue when you don't even ask and you paywall it. That really bothers me, especially if you paywall it through something like Patreon or another subscription-based service. I hate those. For example, let's say someone makes fan art of my characters and paywalls it through a subscription cringe service because they are not based. And you say you paywall it, and I find out, I will tell you, hey, release that for free. Release that for free and give me the copies, because if you don't release that for free, I will do it. Because I don't approve of this. It bothers me because I oppose subscription-based service. But if you, for example, want to sell an art book, you go to Comiket or something, you want to sell an art book with my characters, it might be as simple as asking me for permission as showing me the art. Maybe I might ask for a freebie if I get a bit greedy, but it might be as simple as that. If you say, yeah, I really like your characters, I made this art book with them and I want to sell it at Comiket, and I see it, get me all I ask you in return is get me a digital copy. And go make your money, because it's worth it, because I loved it. It might be as simple as that for me to allow something like that. So don't think it's about copyright when I say I don't approve of you paywalling my work. It's about it's personal, very personal. But I will try to fuck you over it. But it can be as simple as asking for permission with me. I'm not one of those who will say, you will meet my lawyer if you sell an art book of... No, just ask me for permission. If I really like it, just ask me for permission. Maybe bring a justified tribute of a free digital copy. I don't want a free print copy. I don't mind. I am willing to pay for the print copy, but especially if it's a lewd art book, I want a digital copy for myself, because I'm kinda joking. I'm half joking with all of this. Maybe I won't even request a digital copy. Maybe just give me the link to buy it. I'm willing to pay for art books, provided I know where to buy them. I'm willing to pay for art books because art books don't have that much of a big language barrier. I don't need to read. I'm not willing to pay for untranslated things unless I had access for them first in an unofficial way. And I'm okay with that. If you make an unofficial translation of my book to your language, because I didn't translate it to your language, and you distribute it digitally without seeking monetary compensation, I don't mind. I don't mind fan translations. I'm really flexible, as I said. I'm really flexible with that. I try to be as flexible as possible with intellectual property and with piracy, because sometimes I see piracy as a last resort, and sometimes you got only that last resort. It's a distribution problem, and I recognize I'm not perfect and I can't distribute properly to everyone. But when it comes to plagiarism, actual plagiarism, word for word taking my work as yours and selling it for profit, or distributing it for free but claiming you are the author, or crediting me but not giving me a cent from your profits, that's where the problem begins for me. That's where the problem begins for me. And that's why I think we still need intellectual property, and nobody has given me the important answer. As I said, what do I gain from this? Because what I'm trying to prevent is my loss. What do I gain from supporting the idea of not preventing my loss? Because I'm trying to prevent my loss. Again, negative right. You can't fuck me over. What do I gain from taking away that thing that deters others from fucking me over? What do I gain from it? And for example, one of these persons said the argument that that then creators like me would live on commissions and on subscriptions. I find the model of subscriptions highly unethical. That's why I don't engage in it. That's why I will never ask you for money from a subscription, because I find it extremely unethical. Because there are two options. Either I become your slave because of that subscription, and I have the obligation of giving you something, and I don't like that. I don't like to be subjected to the will of others. Or I can do with your money whatever I fucking want, which I find unethical. So I prefer to give you a finished product and you decide if you are willing to pay for it or not. I find that ethical. So you say copyright is unethical. Well, to me, from my perspective, and with a reason for what, subscription cringe services, because they are not based, are fucking unethical. So you can't tell me copyright laws are unethical and give me the alternative for my profit to be something I find fucking unethical. And I think commissions have no future because of AI. Because with an AI, you can get something done without paying a cent or paying very little. So no, we don't have a future in commissions. And even regarding commissions, I'm not willing to work for commissions. I have been offered jobs of writing for commissions from local companies, offering me to write articles about technology, offering me to write articles about entertainment. I have rejected them, even though I have a channel with reviews, which sometimes doubles in technology, in Spanish. I have refused to do basically the same for commissions. I don't like that. I don't like, in case you haven't noticed by basically my business model, I don't like to obey others. I don't like to be under the yoke of others. I hated working for others. So the only thing I do on commissions, and that's because it's the only way, is translating, but I am a freelance translator. I really get confused when I get heated. I'm a freelance translator because it's the closest I can get to work for myself in that. It's the only thing I am willing to do on commissions. And well, artificial intelligence is taking my job. And I'm not angry, I'm not complaining about that. I already made a video about that. What I'm saying is, the only thing I was willing to do on commissions, because it's the only way that works without having a boss, it's already on its way out, because commissions are on their way out, because now artificial intelligence can do it for you instead of hiring a human. At least if you don't want certain levels of professionalism. If you are willing, or if the environment is full of unprofessional people, like in translation, or if you are willing to sacrifice some quality or some originality, you can have an AI write for you. You can have an AI draw for you if you are willing to sacrifice that how do I say it? That professionalism, that quality, that originality, and you want something entirely generic, which is generally what you will get with commissions anyway, especially in writing, because you won't have your own technique. You can have an AI do it for you. I refuse to be a ghostwriter. I refuse to be a ghostwriter. I refuse to work as a writer on commissions. And it's on its way out. So no, the commissions model isn't an incentive either. In fact, you have given me more reasons with those arguments to oppose the abolition of intellectual property and to even be more flexible with patents and trademarks, which I strongly oppose trademarks and which I think patents are often abused. Because what's in it for me for giving up something? Something that has worked for centuries. Something that emerged naturally before Marxism existed, before leftism existed. To deter others from plagiarism. It's a negative right, and it's basically an inevitable natural law, because the other way to prevent plagiarism was killing. Not necessarily in real life, but for example, Antonio Cervantes Saavedra, to stop basically what was profiting from a fanfic, the apocryphal stories of Don Quixote. Sorry, the X. I pronounce the X wrong often. He, the apocryphal tomes of Don Quixote, he decided to fix the problem with them by killing his character off. So yeah, not necessarily in real life, but the only solution to deter piracy without copyright laws is killing. And in his case it was basically stopping fanfics, which were made for profit, but fanfics nevertheless, because there was already copyright. So if even back then, when there was copyright, it was a problem, if you take intellectual property away, you are fucking authors over. I will stand on that, and it's a hill I'm willing to kill on, not die, because I'm willing to kill. Quite literally, if you get rid of all laws. And I'm quite fond of the idea of assassinating plagiarists of my work. So yeah, I'm willing to kill on this hill. Not die on it, kill on it. And I like to speak this aggressively to emphasize that you don't fuck me over with your changes! I don't like changes to the law that fuck me over. That's exactly why I oppose leftists. Because they are willing to, for the greater good, fuck the individual over. And this idea of getting rid of intellectual property is fucking the individual over, and the individual is me. Welcome to Fuck You Town. Population, everyone who thinks that. Everyone who supports the idea of getting rid of intellectual property laws. Because you don't fuck me over. You won't have my support of something that harms me. And it's basically, in fact, it sounds like communism to me. When people, all the arguments, ethics, morals, that you are a fascist, that you are authoritarian, that it is bad for creativity, that you are restricting the freedoms of others by paywalling and copywriting your work, it sounds like communism to me. It's funny to see right-wing libertarians and ANCAP supporting this when it totally sounds like communism. Unless you want the alternative, that I am legally allowed to kill the people who profit from my work without my permission. I like that alternative, I will be honest. But you don't want that, do you? And probably you won't want that change. So what's in it for me? Nobody has given me that reason. And when I say it has worked like this for centuries for a reason, it has worked like this even before communists existed. And communists hate copyright laws! So no, I'm not going to... And it's true, communists hate copyright laws. Look at China. Look at the Soviet Union. The individual couldn't have intellectual property. The intellectual property belongs to the state. They hate intellectual property in the hands of individuals. So, you sound like a fucking commie when you say that you oppose the existence of intellectual property. If you can't give me an argument of what's in it for me, and when I say it has worked like this for centuries, oh, just like a slavery, so you support slavery? That's the most fucking retarded counter argument you can have to saying a law worked, and it still works. And I was called a slaver by a fucking idiot over defending my position. Nobody has been able to say what's in it for me. The closest approximate was this suggestion that we could use subscription cringe services. I insist because they are never based. That we could use commissions. That's stupid. No, I want to sell you a finished product and you decide if you want to pay for it or not. I'm not going to work for commissions because I hate the idea of someone telling me what to write, what story to make. I hate that. I make the stories I want and you decide if you like them or not. And if you like them, you are going to pay. I won't force you to buy it. That's the difference. Don't like it, don't buy it. I mean it seriously, and it could affect me negatively if my stories were bad or if you really don't like them. But I think I try to appeal to the vast majority of humanity with my work. At least I try to. The thing is, yeah, I actually don't mind becoming a niche author, which will mean most people really don't like my work, but the few that really like it are willing to keep me alive and fed so I can make more. I don't mind that. I don't want to get rich of this. I want to profit enough to live full time of it, but I don't want to get rich of it. But the thing is, when I say I don't like it, don't buy it, I don't mean it as a passive-aggressive insult as all these activists do. No, I mean it as in, I'm not going to force you to buy my work. If you think it's good enough, if you think it's worth it, buy it. If you think it's not, it's your money, not mine. I can't control who buys and who doesn't. But the thing is, I want to give you a finished product. I don't want to be subjected to your will, to your whims, to your demands for money. That's why I don't want to do commissions, and that's why I don't want to engage in subscription services. Because with commissions, I have the obligation to give the one paying me exactly what that person wants. I don't want to do that. And with subscription services, I have that same obligation, and that's the part where it becomes unethical, because I'm not saying all subscription systems are entirely unethical by nature, but that they are unethical because of this part. Or if I don't basically put a contract saying I have the obligation to give you exactly what you want, I'm subject, then I basically declare you are paying me for doing whatever I want. I don't give you the choice of taking a finished product which you will like, and I can do whatever I want with your money, even, I don't know, writing something you absolutely hate. I saw this situation in which an artist, in fact an illustrator, who usually drew homosexual couples, mostly as far as I remember Yuri, decided to draw a heterosexual couple, and many were angry at this illustrator. And I think being frustrated is valid. The parts where they started sending threats, insults, harassment, that's wrong. But I think it's valid, and someone gave that argument, that people who are paying this person for a subscription for art, for these illustrations, are going to be angry. Because they are paying this illustrator for something, and this illustrator decided to do something else. And well, the illustrator has no legal obligation to draw exactly what they want. It's obvious the paying subscribers will be frustrated, extremely angry, and will justifiably cancel their subscription. They shouldn't be. As I said, that's why I think they are bad. That's why I think subscription services are bad. That's why I make the pun constantly of subscription cringe services, because they are never based. To begin with, you shouldn't be using a subscription service. But if you are going to do, you are justified to cancel it when the one getting the money gives you something you don't like or you don't want. That's the problem. I think that's a model that is horrible because it subjects you to becoming a people pleaser. Because if you don't become a people pleaser, you become an asshole. Because if you give people what they don't want when they are paying money, you become an asshole. So subscription cringe services only give you the choices of becoming an asshole or a people pleaser. And I hate being both. Because I hate being a people pleaser, but I don't want to be an asshole. So, to be free, I can't use a subscription model. To be free, I need to be able to charge you for a finished product. So no, that's not an option. And to be free, I can't do commissions. I need to charge you for a finished product. So unless you can give me a legitimate alternative to the way things work, so I can charge for a finished product and not become either a people pleaser or an asshole, you are not giving me an incentive to changing the way copyright works. You are not giving me an incentive. You are giving me reasons to not want that change. I can't imagine a way in which that would work. And no, government subsidies are not an option. Especially for me, I am against government subsidies, therefore universal basic income is also not an option. The only option would be some sort of really nearly impossible situation in which some sort of supporting rich imbecile decides to invest without guarantees on my work. That's not going to happen. Be realistic. This is no longer that kind of world. As I said, if someone wants something done, they will use an artificial intelligence. And if someone is willing to pay for your work, they will want a finished product. I think that's the future. People want the finished results. Asmongold is right on that, for example, when he says people don't care if it's AI or not. If they like it, they are willing to pay. They want the finished results. I want to sell the results. Therefore, so I can sell the results, intellectual property is necessary. Because that way, someone else can't sell the same results without my permission, and therefore without me making money from it. Unless they are authorized by Amazon, which is a problem, as I said, but that's beyond my control. That's a situation, that's a more complex situation. I would sue that company if I had enough money, so I would rape them monetarily if I had the money to go through it. I would destroy them if I could. I would assassinate them if I was legally allowed to. And I'm not joking. You might say he's a psycho. No, I'm saying sometimes people piss you off and the only thing that keeps them alive is that the law says so. Because we don't have honored rules anymore. But there is a reason why wars happen. Because someone who is legally allowed to declare death on others is pissed enough. Is pissed enough. So yeah. If I could, I would eliminate that company because it's really dishonest that they give me the same percentage. No, not even the same percentage. The same earnings that I would make alone, but they charge you more. That's where it is wrong. It pisses me off. Back to what I was saying. I see no incentive in getting rid of copyright laws. You need to give an incentive. You need to convince creators to make it possible. Wait a second, because I know this thing overheats, and I am overheating too. Again, because it really bothers me. Well, back from the break. I hope you used the toilet or whatever during the break. Back from the break, as I was saying, there is no incentive. No one, not a single person who has proposed this abolition of copyright law because of libertarianism. Because I have seen the same argument coming from communists. That's also why I don't see much sense in this. But no one has given an incentive of what's in it for me. I'm an egoist. I'm an anarcho-capitalist egoist. I will sell your own mother, but I wouldn't sell mine. If I could. Kinda joking. I'm exaggerating a bit. But let's say in a hypothetical, complete anarcho-capitalist utopia with no laws or government, the kind of world the Marxists try to use as a straw man to threaten people and make them think we are crazy. I'm realistic. I think we need laws. I think we need either no government or a government as small and decentralized as possible, and laws that don't depend on authority but on basically on mutual agreement to not fuck each other over. I believe in that kind of society as the most functional society, but let's say the hypothetical anything goes anarcho-capitalist hellhole communists imagine. I will sell your mother in that hellhole. In that specific hellhole. And I wouldn't let you sell mine, and I will kill anyone who got close to my own mother in that regard. But in a realistic environment, in a realistic anarcho-capitalist system where there are laws to prevent you from selling your mother or mine from selling mothers, where there are laws to preventing people from fucking each other over, you need to make a really solid argument to prove that eliminating copyright laws won't fuck me over. And nobody, not a single person who has argued against copyright laws, who has argued in favor of abolishing copyright, has given me a convincing argument that proves that it won't fuck me over. You need to give me an incentive. And in fact, in anarcho-capitalist societies, incentives are what will motivate laws. Incentives are what will motivate everything. And if you can't give me an incentive, then you are forcing me. Then you are the one who is being authoritarian by eliminating copyright laws, because you are forcing me to give up something for the alleged greater good when I am asking you, what's in it for me? You haven't given me an incentive. You have given me arguments in favor, but not an incentive. You need to give me an incentive. Otherwise, I don't want that model. Otherwise, that sounds like communist hogwash for me. It's funny because you have all these anarcho-capitalists whose arguments come from a perspective of the greater good, but they never tell you as an author what's in it for you. And it's funny because many of them are content creators, but I don't think they see themselves as authors. But if they are monetizing their work, I'm not going to do it because I'm not stupid enough to take the risk, but I bet if they are monetizing their work and you take their work and redistribute that work in a way that they don't make money, they will DMCA you. They are content creators. Most of them have YouTube channels. Some probably have books too. I haven't checked entirely, but some of them probably have books too, and I bet they sell them. And if you try to profit from their sources of income in a way that gives them no profit from it, I bet they will try to stop you. And that's exactly what I am arguing here. They are trying to get rid of the deterrent to profiting from your sources of income without your permission. But if you try to do that to them, I bet they will try to stop you. And they are justified to do so. I'm just saying they are fucking hypocrites then. They need to admit that their idea is utopian and impossible to attain in a society where people need to look out for each other. First, for themselves first, and then for the complete strangers. it's utopian, it's unreasonable, and it sounds like communism. Because, as I said, arguments of ethics, arguments of morals, saying you're a fascist, saying you are authoritarian, you sound like a fucking hippie communist. Because as I said, it's not that I want power over you, it's that I want you to not fuck me over. It's that you don't tell me what do I gain from this, and all I see is loss. And I want to gain from it. If you can't give me a reason, if you don't tell me what's in it for me, I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to be a part of the system you propose. I don't want to be in a country where your system is applied. If you don't want to apply it where I don't live, go try it and see how it becomes a hellhole where creators will run to where I am, to Stirnertopia, where if you try to do that you get killed by the author. I really base most of my perspective on society, not economy, society, on Stirner. I think Stirner understood jack shit about economy, but he understood society better than Marx. Because he basically said, if you fuck me over, I fuck you over. I'm an egoist. An anarcho-capitalist egoist. The only reason I don't use Stirner as a mascot is because I think that's boring and because he was a bit to the left of me. And I don't like that. Basically, I'm to the right of Stirner. And in the authoritarian axis, I'm probably about many of these people who say I want to get rid of copyright laws because they are authoritarian. Dude, you can't get rid of all the laws just because you don't like them. You need some laws. You need some circumstances in which something is a crime and something is not. That's why I think you need to make them more flexible. Yes, I think we need to make copyright laws more flexible. I think in general all intellectual property laws are too restrictive. But I don't want to get rid of them entirely because I think that's stupid and utopian. That's impossible. That's not functional. And that gives no incentive to authors. And I say, I don't think they see themselves as authors. I don't think they see the work they profit from as intellectual property, and that's why I think they see it as different, as something that won't be affected by their own idea. But it will backfire on them if we tried it. I think it's a terrible idea, and nobody has been able to give me an incentive to change my mind. And since nobody has been able to give me that incentive, I don't want it. And I don't want people trying to promote it because it's stupid. I think it's a stupid idea. Unless someone could actually, and I don't want an internet debate, unless someone could actually sit down face to face. And there are people I respect who hold this idea, but I think they are wrong in this. Face to face. Talk to me. Give me arguments in favor of it. With patience, explaining me how it won't fuck me over. If someone could do that and prove that it won't fuck me over, and have the patience of getting basically all my rebuttals, all my answers, even if I'm wrong, even if they say I'm objectively wrong, have the patience to hear all my counter arguments until they can convince me that it won't fuck me over, and how it won't fuck me over, and what I gain from it. I want someone to do that, to try that. But if they can't try that, then I will never change my mind. And it needs to be face to face, because otherwise it will just become a yelling match on the internet and we will just end up insulting each other, and I don't like that. That's why I don't like online debates. That's why if someone calls me to an online debate, I'm out. I'm not interested in that because they just become yelling matches without results. No. If they want to change my mind, they will need to do it face to face, like the Crowder meme. I sit on a chair, change my mind, and to have the patience to really try it, no matter how much mental gymnastics I make. If I'm wrong, I will be wrong eventually. I will need to concede eventually. But if you can tell me what do I gain from it and how it won't fuck me over, if you can't tell me that, I'm not changing my mind. And that's why I think it's a terrible idea to get rid of copyright laws. And that's why I think those who say it there are three kinds of people. Too idealistic to realize why it won't work. They are not being realistic. Extremely stupid, and they don't realize why it's wrong because they are extremely stupid. Or communist subversives pretending to be ANCAPs, which is the worst of them all. And in the end, those who are too idealistic and those who are too stupid don't notice why that's kind of like communism. They don't notice why. But the why is because you're not giving any incentive to the ones who end up losing from it. Well, that's it for today. Have a nice day. I really got angry with this one.